Tonight, tensions in the Middle East have reached one of their most dangerous points in recent history. Israel has launched fresh airstrikes on Tehran, marking a significant escalation in the ongoing confrontation between Israel and Iran. Explosions were reported across parts of the Iranian capital, with smoke rising over military-linked facilities. Iranian state media acknowledged attacks on strategic sites, while Israeli officials described the strikes as targeted operations aimed at degrading military infrastructure. This development follows days of rising hostilities between the two regional powers. According to Israeli defense sources, the strikes focused on command centers, missile production facilities, and air defense systems believed to be connected to Iran's long-range strike capabilities. Israeli authorities argue that these actions were necessary to prevent what they describe as imminent threats to Israeli national security. Iran, however, has condemned the strikes as an act of aggression and a violation of its sovereignty. Iranian officials warned that retaliation would follow and stated that their armed forces are fully prepared to respond. Missile sirens were heard in parts of Israel shortly after the Tehran strikes, as Iranian projectiles and drones were reportedly launched toward Israeli territory. Israel's air defense systems, including the Iron Dome and other layered missile defense platforms, were activated to intercept incoming threats. The situation has raised concerns about a broader regional conflict. This is not an isolated event. The Israel-Iran rivalry has been building for years. Israel has long accused Iran of supporting armed groups hostile to Israel across the region, including Hezbollah in Lebanon and other Iran-aligned factions. Iran, in turn, accuses Israel of repeated covert and overt attacks on its military assets and nuclear-related facilities. What makes the latest strikes especially significant is the direct targeting of Tehran. Historically, many confrontations between the two nations occurred through proxies or covert operations. Direct, large-scale airstrikes on the Iranian capital signal a dramatic escalation. International reactions have been swift. The United States has reiterated its support for Israel's right to defend itself, but has also called for restraint to prevent a wider war. European leaders have expressed deep concern, urging both sides to step back from further military action. The United Nations has called for immediate de-escalation and warned that continued hostilities could destabilize the entire region. Energy markets reacted quickly. Oil prices surged amid fears that the conflict could disrupt shipping routes, particularly through the Strait of Hormuz, a critical choke point for global energy supplies. Analysts warned that any prolonged conflict involving Iran could have serious economic consequences worldwide. Meanwhile, civilians in both countries are bracing for uncertainty. In Tehran, residents reported hearing multiple explosions overnight. Some districts experienced temporary power disruptions. Authorities advised citizens to remain calm and avoid areas near military installations. In Israel, emergency protocols were activated in several cities. Schools in certain regions were temporarily closed, and public shelters were opened as a precaution against potential retaliatory strikes. Military analysts say the coming days will be critical. If Iran's response remains limited to symbolic retaliation, escalation might be contained. However, if large-scale missile attacks intensify or regional allies become directly involved, the conflict could expand beyond bilateral confrontation. Hezbollah in Lebanon is being closely watched. The group has previously indicated that it would respond to major Israeli actions against Iran. Any movement on Israeli northern border could open a second front, significantly increasing the risks of a wider war. Another major concern is cyber warfare. Both Israel and Iran possess advanced cyber capabilities. Experts warn that future retaliation may not be limited to missiles and airstrikes, but could include attacks on critical infrastructure, such as power grids, communication networks, or financial systems. Diplomatic channels are reportedly active behind the scenes. Regional mediators are attempting to reduce tensions, though public rhetoric on both sides remains firm. Israel maintains that its actions are defensive and necessary to prevent long-term strategic threats. Iran insists it will not allow attacks on its territory to go unanswered. The broader geopolitical implications are profound. Any sustained military confrontation between Israel and Iran risks drawing in global powers. The Middle East remains a strategic crossroads, politically, militarily, and economically. Escalation could shift alliances, affect global markets, and reshape regional security architecture for years to come. For now, the world watches closely. Will this remain a contained exchange of strikes, or is this the beginning of a much larger confrontation? What is certain is that the coming days will define the trajectory of this crisis. As military operations continue and diplomatic efforts intensify, the balance between escalation and restraint hangs in the balance. We will continue to monitor developments and provide verified updates as the situation unfolds. This is a rapidly evolving story. Stay informed, stay aware.